Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Tea Time with Torlock. Today, I'm talking Back 4 Blood, the Left 4 Dead spiritual successor, and I've got some thoughts. So, let's start off with the big change, the card system. So besides characters having their own stats and own abilities that they bring to the table, you also get to make a deck of perk cards or campaign cards. I don't know what they call them, but you get to make a deck of cards that you use to, that you use to augment your character however you feel. The cards range from the very basic 10% ammo for everybody extra to something as silly and ridiculous as carrying two primary weapons instead of a primary and a secondary. So that's cool and fun, and I could spend a lot of time talking about the card system, but I feel like I need to see all of the cards before I make any hard decisions, and I'm not sure if they're making more cards or not, or tweaking any of these. A lot of the ones for single player and multiplayer are the single player ones in particular are pretty ridiculous, and the ones for multiplayer co-op, I should say, not PvP, are kind of bizarre. Like, you take less damage from the ridden, you convert your melee attack into a knife. A lot of these are very useful, so the 15 card limit makes it kind of hard to pick and choose. However, it does make this interesting idea where you could theoretically, with your squad, come up with the perfect decks where people help each other to get through. You don't get to build the deck when you start a match, thank goodness. You just set them up ahead of time. But I feel like there's a lot of potential here for super fun and interesting runs. So far, my friends and I have just been playing it with just the weirdest perks that we can. One of my friends, just because he could, decided to stack all the extra ammo he could. just because he could. And then when found out he could have two primary weapons, he was like, does that mean I can have an LMG and an automatic shotgun? And he was happy as a clam. So, perfectly ridiculous and fun there. So the meat and potatoes is the campaign mode, in my opinion. I know the PvP mode, the swarm mode, is probably going to be where a lot of people spend a lot of time. But I think that the campaign mode is probably where I'm going to spend a lot of time. Because I'm going to be honest, PvP games MB recently have been a mixed bag. Or I either really like them, or I just get stomped. I can hold my own in some shootery things, but not everything. So maybe I could hold my own in Back 4 Blood, but I would rather not do it alone. What's fun is a lot of the old Left 4 Dead rules still kind of apply here. So it's really a matter of skill level of the player base. I think there's a lot of people who've never played Left 4 Dead that are playing this game now and don't understand that you want to limit the amount of exposed space you have to the ridden while you're in a horde situation so you don't get swarmed and killed. I see a lot of people trying to hold out in the wide open, and they get completely surrounded and then fall over and end up leaving the match.
Always feels good when I see a first aid cabinet. Except when I need
First
it.
aid cabinet over here if you guys didn't see it. First aid
Now the
cabinet.
weapons have come a long way from Left 4 Dead. Every weapon has aim down sight, and every weapon is lovingly detailed. But one of the things that's kind of weird is the way that attachments work for the weapons. So you can get things like scopes, extended mags, magazine, or like hollow point rounds,
Shooting at me.
stocks that make things a little better, muzzle brakes or compensator, I should say. But the problem I found is that you can't just remove them if you don't need them, unless there's another one in front of you to swap them out. So it makes it, you kind of get attached to your weapons and don't want to swap them, which is a bit of an issue, in my opinion. I know you don't want people just like sitting there and taking way too long trying to swap out all their attachments, but
I'll take
maybe just unattach all when you switch,
I'll take a boon when I
or
find
switch
one.
attachments would be nice if they're the same kind of weapon.
Lights on.
Otherwise, it's like I'll take less damage to have better accuracy. Because there's a bunch of guns that kick like no one's biz. Without a compensator, they're almost impossible to use.
Today's not your
But it's like, oh, I found this cool gun, but I've already got a good compensator and the stock. I don't want to give that up. So it's a cool new addition. I just wish there was, like, I'm okay with the multiplayer mode not having attachments be removable. Totally fine with that. But I think in campaign you should be able to swap the attachments, or maybe give your buddy one. Right now it's just, it feels half-baked. Like, they're all there in the menu and you can see what they do, but you can't just put them off. Because there's been a bunch of times where I pick up a gun and it has an ACOG scope or like a sniper scope on a weapon that, like a shotgun or a Desert Eagle, where there's a massive scope on the handgun, and it's no good for me. I don't want it. I do like the option though. The options are good. Okay, weapons. We got weapons. We got the card system. What about the campaign and mission system? It's a mixed bag. Let's say it's a mixed bag. Because there's a bunch of missions that are kind of just, you leave Fort Hope and that's the mission, and then you have to go somewhere else from Fort Hope. I don't hate it per se, but I definitely think it's kind of a waste. It's cool that you get to see the different, like the sections outside of Fort Hope in Finleyville. I think it's Finleyville. Might be called something else. But what I don't like is that they all feel kind of bland and boring. When you get the more exotic environments, like that was kind of the fun of Left 4 Dead 2, is that the first, okay, Left 4 Dead 2, first map ends up in a shopping mall, and you gas up a race car and drive it out of there. Second map is a amusement park or a carnival, the Dark Carnival. Third map is that was Heavy Rain? I can't remember. The third, like, there's like Heavy Rain. There's the Parish is the last one. plantation is the middle. There's like Mardi Gras, and besides the point, it's kind of like a fun, you know, you're globetrotting around and they're trying to get out and you're following them on their journey. Whereas Back 4 Blood is more like there's a central hub and you always are
Nothing to worry about.
moving out from it, and then you come back and then you move out from it again. I would like some more fun locales or silly locales, so you get fun lines from the characters. Like, you get some fun lines where Doc's always like, hey, is there any candy in there? Or Hoffman talking about doomsday prepping or conspiracy theories.
Already, eh? Cover me, reloading.
It falls a little short in the
Any way I can.
character personality traits or character personality. I think people will forever remember who played Left 4 Dead.
Not my fault you're in the way.
Francis, and the way Francis was like, I hate elevators, I hate this, I hate that. And then one person perks up finally and says, Francis, is there anything you don't hate? I don't hate this. I'm sure there's still memes of it all over the internet. It was great. I think someone made like a song of it, and he's like, I don't like this, don't like that, but I don't hate this.
Slow down there, Speedy.
It's Back 4 Blood is a good first step. I think as a service game with a long, probably more DLC to come. I hope there's a few more like free campaigns, because the campaign section so far, I think I've gotten to like chapter 3, we're like halfway through it or something. We just finished up part of 1. We're getting close to the end. Chapter 4 seems to be one mission, and or Act 4, I should say. Unless there's more that I haven't seen, because the map just kind of is like, there's this many. Maybe there's more than what they're showing. But that's what they've shown so far. What I've seen so far. And honestly, it's pretty good. I understand why there's a bunch of people that haven't finished it yet, because people are either not accustomed to what Back 4 Blood is asking from them, or they aren't getting good teammates, or people who are being team players. Trying to do this with bots has been... I don't know if I have any footage of it in this video, but there was like everyone was down and I got hit by one of the special infected that roots you in place, basically. I don't know the name of any of the special infected or special ridden. I don't know what they call them. There's like a hawker and there's like a spewy one. They all... There's like a tall boy and then there's a crusher. The crusher's got like a big smashy arm,
You're a lifesaver.
and the crusher... Sorry.
What's that?
The tall boy has the big smashy arm, and the crusher's got a big grabby arm. I can barely tell them apart. They're not like... That was one of the biggest and probably most important thing about Left 4 Dead, is that from a distance even, you could tell by sound, like all the special effects had their own sound cues. All of them had their own like movement patterns and the way they would attack. And all of them had their own specific silhouette. So even if you just saw one out of the corner of your eye, you could identify it with very little effort. Whereas Back 4 Blood, it's a little harder.
What do you know?
PC performance seems good. Getting 60 FPS on reasonable hardware, reasonably new hardware, like 3 to 4 years old, seems doable. it seemed to run fine on current and next gen consoles, but I don't like playing controller and first person shooters, especially a game like Back 4 Blood, which has a lot of fiddly sort of ideas. Not bad per se, but just a little bit fiddly. Like you can ping, you can do this, you can do that. But it is what it is. So I'm gonna head out, and if there's a huge update to Back 4 Blood, I will definitely be there to cover it. But until next time, matane.